SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Waiting. You do it at grocery stores, in traffic, and at the doctor's office. But what if you could skip the wait altogether? Introducing Trust Care Plus, a healthcare membership that makes feeling better even faster. Skip the waiting room and enjoy priority access at any Trust Care clinic. Sick kid? Text your care crew day or night. Get discounts on prescriptions and so much more. Wait no more. Feeling better just got a whole lot faster. Join Trust Care Plus today. Plans start from just $15 a month. Learn more at trustcarehealth.com/plus.
Roll free record on my count. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Roll A, fade up on A.
Southern Miss to the top. You're tuned in to the Eagle Hour.
Let's go. Countdown to Christmas continues. SuperTalk Eagle Hour back on the air, broadcasting from the Southern Bancorp studio here in Oak Grove, Mississippi. We're glad you're with us this afternoon. Lee Roberts going to join us here in a little bit. Going to be hearing from Jeremy McClain and some comments that he made yesterday regarding the search that led to Blake Anderson being the new head football coach. And we're happy to let you know that Thursday afternoon, Coach Anderson will be on the SuperTalk Eagle Hour, and we look forward to introducing him to all of our listeners and hearing directly from Blake Anderson. That'll be a 1:30 interview this Thursday. Dima back in the studio with us, Kelly in here with us. We're all in the Southern Bancorp studio. We appreciate everything that Southern Bancorp does. And, of course, Dickey's Barbecue, which sponsors the opening segment of the show every day. All right, so the dust is settled. Talked to some athletic officials today. They're very happy to have Blake Anderson in place. Dima was at the press conference yesterday, and I don't know that we heard anything unexpected, but I can tell you that what my sources are saying, Dima, is that there's a lot of excitement in the athletic department about Blake Anderson being here, and I think everyone concerned believes that Blake may be the perfect fit not only for the football program but for our community as well.
Yeah, and first and foremost, apologize if my voice sounds weird. I can't even feel half my face right now because I just came from the dentist, so that might be why.
No rock candy tonight.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. No, and I keep going back to something he said during his press remarks. He said, "I'm the right guy for right now." And I thought that was just a great encapsulation of what they think of Blake Anderson. You know, and something I said on the phone yesterday, like going out and getting this, pipe dream head coach of a Hugh Freeze or an Ed Orgeron, is that really what Southern Miss needs right now? Or do they need a guy who's a proven winner, a guy who's already been in the system for a full year? The players know him. He's done this before. And somebody who I think everybody can say they trust. And I think that's what Southern Miss needs now. And I think that's why Jeremy went with Blake Anderson. And I think it's a great hire. And, we'll see what happens. He's going to be judged very quickly in his first year. I think we're past the college football world where you give coaches 2 or 3 years. And next season is going to be very difficult. He talked about it, and we're going to hear from him in just a second, about how this might be the most difficult job he's ever done from what he has to do from now until the spring.
And one of the questions that I got during the season, people would look out into the stands and they'd say, this team is winning. Why isn't the community responding to the degree that they had hoped they would? And the only way that I could answer that question is because Charles Huff, in my opinion, he wasn't here long enough to really be able to embrace the community or to be interwoven within the community. There just didn't seem any connect between. Now, look, he did what he was supposed to do, right? He was an iron-fisted guy, came in, turned the football program around. But I would contend, after being a proud resident of Hattiesburg for over 40 years now, that Hattiesburg responds best to a little bit of touchy, feely. A little bit. I mean, yeah. Winning is part of it, but you got to have a guy too that you can relate to, somebody that understands the community, that the community understands him, and I think that's where Blake Anderson is going to be more successful.
And one thing I really liked what Blake said is he said, "Listen, I know there's been some backlash with this hire. He said, I might not be your first choice. He said, I might not be the guy. He said, but I just hope you give me a chance. And that to me was the biggest thing that I heard from Blake. One of the biggest things that I heard from him, because he was, he recognized that he might not be everybody's first choice, but he's still.
My opinion, and $8 will get you a cup of coffee at one of the 572 drive-through coffee spots in Hattiesburg. But I'm glad Blake Anderson's here, and I'm glad Charles Huff moved on. And I think I do. I think Blake Anderson's a better fit for the program. I think he wants to be the head coach of the football team here. Mm-hmm. I think he should have been hired when our friend Larry Fedora left, and I'm frankly glad he's back.
It was funny because he was kind of talking about the process and the timeline, and he said as soon as he heard that Charles Huff was headed to Memphis, he said he picked up his phone and called Jeremy and said, I want the job. And Jeremy said, you're going to have to win.
I thought it was interesting yesterday when he said I had to go back and apologize to Jeremy, because apparently that made him mad when he maybe. I mean, I don't know. We'll ask him when he's here. All right, some other announcements about football.
Well, one thing another announcement is the hirings. Blake's already starting to roll through his staff. CBS Sports is reporting that Jerome Steckel, the South Alabama's defensive coach, is heading here to be the defensive line coach. He helped South Alabama rank 4th in the Sun Belt in total defense. And Southern Miss has also hired their offensive coordinator in Kyle Cefalo. He was his passing game coordinator at Cal this year, but he was previously the OC at Utah State with Blake Anderson, so that's the connection there. We're also hearing reports of familiar faces coming back as far as general managers, familiar faces being from the person who was the interim head coach after Will Hall, and that can give you some guesses there, and sources are telling us that. And that should be announced in a couple of days. But one thing I did want to ask Jeremy McClain in the press conference was kind of the timeline, because we all knew, and Kelly, asked Jeremy McClain when he was on the show in early November, are you prepared for this your head coach to leave? And one thing I was curious on was, when all those jobs started opening, when did they put that search committee like, hey, this might happen? And this was the director of athletics, Jeremy McClain's answer.
To your point, I think we knew when we hired Charles that if we had success, there were going to be an opportunity for him, maybe one that he couldn't pass up, because he had success at a couple different stops. And so we knew throughout the year that was a possibility. I think it was as we were successful, we understood that. As the cycle began to happen and there were so many jobs that came open, there was so much turnover, we began to kind of ramp that up and be prepared. I just felt like the nature of that is you're going to be at the end of the cycle. And so that's where we found ourselves. And so we had to be prepared to move and work quickly. For all the reasons Blake kind of hit on today is, there's, even though the portal's not open, there's these things that have to happen in your building from a retention standpoint. And so we were ready to roll and hit the ground running. And that started, obviously, long before Sunday got here. We kind of had a plan of action and had our search firm on standby, and we're able to just kind of hit the ground running and get it done really in a very short kind of three-day period or so.
Here's a question I think a lot of people are asking, and I think, excuse me, Dima, you probably have an answer. Did, in fact, they interview other people, and you say yes, they did?
Yeah, they did. It was very clear that Jeremy had several interviews. I believe, he interviewed the head coach at Kennesaw State. There was also word that it was another coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. Mixed feelings on who exactly it was, but there was definitely more interviews than just Blake Anderson. But Jeremy McClain said he sat down with Blake Anderson for almost 3 hours one night, and they just sat there and talked about the vision, talked about the, what Blake Anderson's wants to do with the program. And he said he was driving home from work that night, Jeremy McClain was, and he said, you know what, that's our guy, because he saw the fire, but he also saw the vision and realized that's what Southern Miss needed now. And we all knew that he was the front runner, but I think it's great to know that Jeremy McClain and the staff didn't just hone in on him to start, and they did open up the committee and did open up the possibilities of who it could be. But I think they landed on a great guy.
Well, full disclosure, I think legally they have to. I think they have to open it up to a degree.
Maybe. I mean,
at least make it appear that they did.
Yeah.
So it would have shocked me had they not said that they or did indeed interview people. But Bob, you made the point about Blake Anderson not getting the job the first time around, and I wouldn't be surprised. you can tell he's still got a lot of competitive fire left in the furnace. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he uses that as a chip on his shoulder going forward. You know, you didn't give me the job the first time. I'm going to show you really why you made a mistake in not giving me it.
And I'll tell you this, too, and this came from a really trusted source who I think was completely accurate. We were talking about that, and he told me that back when that occurred that the quote-unquote search committee voted unanimously for Blake Anderson, and they were overridden by the then president, Martha Saunders. Martha Saunders, who wanted
Ellis Johnson, and we had gotten word back then that
great choice.
That the reason that had happened was in the interview process. Ellis Johnson was the only one that would allow Anthony Alford, who was on this show a couple of weeks ago, to play both quarterback and baseball.
I think the story here and the lesson here is, aren't we just so glad that Jeremy McClain is the athletic director? Because I think Southern Miss really has a great athletic director, Jeremy McClain. Right. He's the one who brought Charles Huff here. He's the one who's now signing Blake Anderson. He's the one who's doing all the great things for the university. So I think he's the reason this train keeps moving.
Blake Anderson on the show Thursday at 1:30. We look forward to that and invite you to tune in and hear directly from the new head coach himself on the SuperTalk Eagle Hour. We'll be right back.
Big news from Robinson Electric Supply in Laurel. We've moved. You'll now find us directly behind our old building, right by Sawmill Animal Hospital. We're still your trusted electrical distributor, carrying everything from conduit to tape. And don't forget our full line of Milwaukee tools. Whether you're a contractor or a DIY pro, stop by the new Robinson Electric Supply at 1222 West 6th Street and see what's lighting up Laurel. Robinson Electric Supply. New location, same trusted service.
You're tuned in to the Eagle Hour. The Eagle Hour. Southern Miss to the top.
All right, everybody. Eagle Tire West sponsors the second segment of our program every day, and Matt Warren and his staff invite you to see them for premium Goodyear products, full auto and truck service, everything you could need for your truck or car. It's at Eagle Tire West. They're next to Smith Motor Company, Highway 98 West in Hattiesburg. Goodyear tires, full service, big Southern Miss supporters and family operated and owned since 1985. And Genesis of Hattiesburg, right down the road, is the official auto dealer of our program. Their sedans and SUVs are gorgeous. They're in the all-new Genesis showroom. And they'd love to see you for Christmas, Highway 98 West in Hattiesburg. All right, Lee Roberts joins us on a regular basis and, of course, does the color commentary for Southern Miss football and the home ESPN Plus games for men and women's basketball. But we're going to talk football today. And, Lee, obviously you saw yesterday where Blake Anderson is the new head coach. And I guess my first question to you as a former player, how important and significant is the continuity that Blake Anderson will undoubtedly bring for the bowl game next week, but maybe even more important to that, going into the offseason and into a what's going to be a very important portal year for the Golden Eagles?
Yeah, it's an invaluable thing that Blake brings, obviously. I mean, if you saw the videos when he was announced in front of the team, it was, you could see the reaction to the players. Players have come out and said, hey, we're playing in this bowl game. And I think Blake's even come out and said 99% of the players will play. And, I think that's huge. I mean, one, finish the season that you started is so important. That's the way it used to be. Obviously, things have changed and things happen, but I'm super excited that he's able to keep this team together for the bowl game. And then beyond that, I mean, I think a lot will come down to how we perform against Western Kentucky. I think that'll be huge. Will some of these guys decide to stick around and stay with Coach Anderson? Will they go with Coach Huff? Will they just get in the portal and try other options? I think some of the above, all the above will happen. Huff will take some. There will be some guys that will buy into what Coach Anderson does, and then there will be guys that may not fit his system, and we'll have to get into the portal. But I think it's again, back to your original point, the bowl game is very, very important. And again, that will help us into the off season recruiting. I know only signed nine guys on signing day, the early signing period. There's a lot of work to be done. I know he said that yesterday as well, but it will be huge to try to get out recruiting and try to get into that portal as well. We've got a lot of holes to fill,
right.
And
right.
31 seniors will be missed.
Coaches get labeled being defensive or offensive oriented coaches. Where would you put Blake Anderson in that, defense or offensive guy?
No, I mean he's 100% offensive guy. I mean obviously he had a great offense when he was here earlier with Fedora. Obviously last year coaching, but as a head coach, I think he will hire a coordinator. I think he will allow a coordinator to call those plays. Again, this is just me kind of speculating, but I think he is definitely an offensive-minded guy. And so with that being said, he'll have to bring in the right guy to run the defense for sure.
Lee, you were there yesterday, and you were just talking about player retention. I thought it was special that a lot of the team was there in the back, and it's something that people don't know is that they were practicing like 30 minutes before that press conference. So I thought it was pretty cool to see a lot of the team. They would have had to shower, run over to the Trent Lott Center to get there for that conference. I don't know. That's just kind of in my head of when you're talking about players buying in and retaining players who can come back next season. I don't know. That's just kind of in my head right now.
No, I mean, I think it is huge. I mean, it speaks volume to what Blake Anderson brings to this team. It speaks volume to the kind of players that we have currently on this team as well, that they want to come support their new coach, because if they're playing in that bowl game, he is their head coach, whether they were offense, defense, or special teams. Whatever kind of relationship they had with him previously, it will change because he's now at least their head coach for that game. But again, that speaks volume that those guys would come over as quickly as they did. Matter of fact, I was standing there yesterday with Jack Duggan, and Braylon walks by, and he's like, "Practice is already over." And I mean, all of a sudden, kids started trickling in, and I thought it was huge. It speaks so high of what Coach Anderson's bringing in, and he even said it yesterday from the microphone. He's like, "Hey, these guys this was not a mandatory deal." So he even mentioned how much he appreciated those guys showing up.
We can talk about continuity, Lee Roberts, but more older coaches, and I'm paraphrasing here, have made the comment with the current landscape of college football that continuity doesn't matter because there is no such thing as loyalty. People can say they're loyal, they'll say that they want to be there, but the biggest, flashiest offer that comes along, they're going to be gone. And I know that's kind of a Debbie Downer defeatist type of attitude, but your reaction to that, and the fact that continuity might not matter if your best players especially are going to take offers to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the new landscape of where we are in college athletics. Unfortunately, I know, again, Blake Anderson said it yesterday from the microphone. He wish it would not be this way, because you recruit a guy, you want to develop them, you want them to stay, you want them to buy into your program, and you want them to finish. You want them to graduate and finish their playing career where you brought them into. And, not to say that getting in the portal hasn't helped us, because it has as well. But there's a big chance that it could hurt us this year for sure. But yeah, so I think he will. He'll try to keep as much intact that he can. Obviously there's going to be some guys that will be throwing a lot of money, and they'll have to choose, hey, do I stay here in Hattiesburg or do I take the money? And not sure what the other side will look like. It's a tough decision, and hopefully these guys that are faced with that, they'll think hard and through it and talk with their family over the holidays.
And it used to be about the opportunity to win a championship, and now it's all every man for themselves. Mm-hmm. What is your read now that this is official? And we'll just use Chris Jones as an example. Now that would be, one of the studs that other schools would certainly want. Is the draw of a Blake Anderson enough to keep him here, or And I'm speaking generally, but a player of his caliber.
No, I mean, I think for sure. I mean, obviously that's going to be a decision that Chris will have to make as well as others. But yeah, I mean, I'm saying as a former player, Blake Anderson's the kind of guy that I would like to play for. He's a guy that's going to make them better football players. He's going to make them better men. And he even said it yesterday. He got emotional from the microphone talking about, hey, I love it. I love it so much when a former player calls me and say, hey, coach, we're pregnant, or hey, this is going on. I just got this job. And he's also there for players when they need him in tough times. And so I hope current players see that and they take all that into consideration. But again, there are going to be some that chase that money. And there are opportunities out there. And, you know, you brought up Chris Jones. We talked about him there. I mean, he's an SEC type player that we were able to land and to keep for 2 years. And I know he wanted to stay here and play for Coach Huff, and hopefully Coach Anderson can do the same, convince him to stay home.
Lee, how big is it, do you think, from a former player's perspective, that they kept someone who was at least in the system this past season instead of, you know, going out and getting another coach, bringing in a whole new system? Like, he's going to bring in new coaches, but I would say like the offensive system, the whole thing that's happened the last season is basically staying intact. I think that's pretty big for player retention.
No, I think it will be too, especially on the offensive side.
Yeah.
Again, we're losing a lot of guys that are seniors, so that's a huge drop off already. And it's not just that they kept somebody on staff. I mean, this is a guy with 10 years head coaching experience, and so I think Jeremy mentioned yesterday he's the most experienced coach that we've ever hired, and that's impressive. That really is. But yeah, because he was on staff, because he knows these players, he knows the leadership of this team, hopefully that will play a huge part to retain these guys.
Well, we lost Braylon Braxton, but Lee, Dima, Bob, there's good news. TJ Finley is available.
Did you see the tweet? It said, from North Texas to UCF to this to that to this to that to this. His 7th year of eligibility.
He's in the transfer
how in the
portal
world
again.
do you get 7 years of eligibility? That's just it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it does not. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, you get a red shirt, you may be a medical, maybe a COVID. I mean, COVID years are still.
How are we still going to be giving COVID eligibility?
Yeah. Get a job.
I don't know. It is insane for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tweet says the former LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, and Tulane, Georgia State quarterback is filing an NCAA.
Lee, remember the good old days when you came as a freshman, you played for your team for 4 years, and then you graduated and moved on with life. That's
exactly right.
Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, brother?
Yeah, I was always told, hey, you enter school and the clock starts ticking. You have 5 years to get 4 years of eligibility in. So
that's exactly.
It's a different world, my man.
Hey, my man, I'm going to be gone next week. I won't be talking to you, but Merry Christmas to you and your family. The guys may have you back on next week, but really appreciate everything you've done all year and look forward to working with you in 2026. You've truly become one of our dearest friends, Lee.
Hey, I appreciate it. You guys are as well, and Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah, but with Bob being out, Lee, you're going to have to answer your phone when I call.
Well, don't call Tuesday. We'll be in the middle of getting ready for a game.
That's right.
All right, Lee. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Lee Roberts, everybody. All right, we're going to wrap up another good segment with Lee Roberts. Still to come, more to talk about. MCS Home Center, home repair, home remodeling, home construction. Everything you need for your next project, whether it be your home, your lawn, or your garden, check out MCS Home Center in Bellevue. The new Improvement Home Center, 7329 Highway 98 West in Hattiesburg. We'll be right back.
Southern Miss to the top. You're tuned in to the Eagle Hour.
Hey, I want to remind everybody that Friday we'll be at the Corner Market in Midtown. It's our annual Homes of Hope food drive. This year we're asking everybody to donate food throughout the year to Homes of Hope down in Purvis, and also to bring some gift cards so the gift cards can be given to the older kids that are there this year. Not a lot of young kids. That's why we're not asking for toys. Getting our first donation signal to me today from Keith Co. Convenience Stores. Melissa Socher and her husband Keith are incredible people, and they've sort of kicked this off with the first big financial donation to Homes of Hope. We'll be there from 1 till 3. We've got a great 2-hour show lined up for you, and we're asking you to come by with some canned food items or a gift card for one of the kids at Homes of Hope, and let's all work together to make sure that those kids, they're just as deserving of a good Christmas morning as kids that grow up with their family, and we hope that you'll step up and help us as you always do.
And we're going to be set up right there by the delicatessen, which is right around the corner from the dairy, the dairy case.
They're not bringing you any more ice cream, Kelly. They saw what you did the last time that Dima and I didn't even hardly get to taste it.
What was it, Lulu's ice cream?
But he ate
Jenny's.
the whole thing, didn't he?
Jenny's
Did
ice cream.
he? Do you remember that, Dima?
It was embarrassing.
We got one bite, and then he started licking all the top of the bowl. And
Well, I
knowing that no one else would use it then.
Personally, I wanted to block that from my memory, so thank you for bringing that
I
up.
just couldn't decide if I liked it or not. I just needed more time to decide.
What was the conclusion?
I don't know. I forgot.
Maybe
what it
another
tasted
one.
like.
Maybe another one would help you, right?
Exactly.
DBAT sponsors this segment of the show. Now, there's a Christmas gift list idea. Get a gift card down there for the Pro Shop, or maybe a gift certificate for a child in your family to go take free batting lessons to work out in the batting cages. There's a wonderful array of Christmas ideas at DBAT. Luke Reynolds is the GM down there, former Golden Eagle great, and we hope that everybody will stop by DBAT that has a baseball or softball player on their list. And while you're out shopping, how about some beignets? Mo Bay Beignet Company, 2902 Hardy Street. Check out their Facebook page. And Kelly says the topping of the month is
peppermint,
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
here
for
at
Christmas time, sure.
Eagle Hour podcast is up and running every day on Apple, Audible, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. Alexa or Siri will play the SuperTalk Eagle Hour. And again, Blake Anderson joining us on the show Thursday. In the 1:30 segment, we look forward to introducing Coach Anderson to our listening audience. Well, the dust is settled, fellas, and I guess we just kind of wait now for a bowl game.
But
less than a week away.
But we do need a quarterback, Dima. Any ideas? Any 7-year guys out there?
Well, Diego Pavia, I think he's petitioning for a 10th,
let's talk
15th.
about this.
Is he?
9th,
okay,
or is it 8th?
I think it's 30th.
Yeah.
I want to say something about Diego Pavia, just really quickly. What he said at how he was conducting himself as the Heisman Trophy ceremony. I don't think he should ever be considered for any more awards going forward. If he does get another award, like if he gets another year and we're here next year or something, no chance he should be. I mean, that was so ridiculous. And the kid who won it, Fernando Mendoza, what a great story. You know, you had to be rooting for him. And for him to say, F all the voters, and I don't know if he can say that on air, but all those things that he said, and I saw this reel where they're just trying to do this little game with him for social media, and they were like, rank all of these Heisman winners, and they were like, Lamar Jackson or Johnny Manziel, and he's like, none, me. And then they were like,
okay, over Lamar Jackson.
Over Lamar,
okay.
yeah, okay. You're not. You probably won't even get drafted, and you're talking about being better than Lamar Jackson.
Correct.
Okay,
no,
but
totally classless. Totally
ridiculous.
classless.
But if you're a head football coach and you have a chance to get this guy in the transfer portal, do you get him or not?
Yeah, for college football's sake.
Well, see, that's the problem with society.
Well, surely
he's not going to go in the portal.
Surely he doesn't get another year of eligibility. How long has he been playing college football?
7 or 8
I think
years.
I was potty training when he started college.
I mean, it's just
which wasn't that long ago.
It's just last month, actually. It's just reached the point of absurdity. Now, talk about the kid at Georgia State via
TJ
LSU, Auburn, Texas State, blah 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 blah.
I mean, you can't even make it up. I sent you all that text last night, and it's just the tweet was so funny to me. The former LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Tulane, Georgia State quarterback is filing for an NCAA waiver for a 7th year of eligibility. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just don't get it. How do you get 7 years?
Well, I don't know, but serious question here. Did the NCAA anticipate this madness when they started letting everything go, Kelly? What do you think? Could they have predicted this? And if so, why haven't they stepped up to do anything about it?
I think they probably anticipated it, but rather than get sued by every athlete that came along and knowing that they probably wouldn't win, they thought the financial bottom line would be let them do what they want. But again, now the problem is, and I've used this analogy before, like parents who complain about their 40-year-old son staying in the basement and won't leave. This is what you're getting now with these guys who, through the transfer portal and all these extra years you're giving them, you complain about them, but you don't do anything about them. And that with the NCAA, it's not only allow the transfer portal and the NIL deals, but it's giving them almost unlimited numbers of years. And of course, they have to make their money in college now at 25 and 26 and 27 years old because the NFL's not going to want them.
Well,
They're
this
too
kid
old.
at Vanderbilt is never going to play it down in the league.
Yeah, I would be surprised. And that's kind of segueing into the next Blake Anderson soundbite I wanted to play was just the amount of how this is going to be on this offseason for Southern Miss. Right. I mean, it's going to be 30 seniors leaving. And so Rick Cleveland, famous sports writer here,
who's been on this show,
yes, who asked him, "Listen, is this the hardest thing you've ever had to do?" And this is what Blake Anderson had to say.
You know, when I took over the job at Arkansas State, I was the 5th head coach in 5 years, so there had been a ton of attrition. And I think when I went back and really surveyed the roster, I think we had somewhere around 55 to 58 players that had been actively recruited and signed scholarships. The rest of the roster was made up with guys that had come from everywhere, most of them walk-on. So I liken this to that kind of situation because we've had such quick turnaround in such a short time span, and how many guys we brought in a year ago. I think we brought in 80 some odd new players altogether. I don't know that the attrition is going to be to that level, but we had a really, really large senior class as well. So you had senior class with the attrition we're likely to deal with. It's going to be a big it's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big issue. Not too big, but one that we are aware of and just what that's going to take. The difference now and then is you put in the free transfer portal, you put in the addition of revenue share, and to me it magnifies just what we're up against. So I've never been around this problem exactly, but we're going to try to attack it in very similar fashion, and we've done a good job.
He's got his hands full.
Man, and he really – one thing I said last season for Charles Huff, bringing in 80, 85 new players, something I was thinking about, and I think they kind of proved me wrong. Will the fan base like these players? Are you going to have the same relationship with all these new players? And I think they did. Of course, Braylon Braxton seemingly like kind of the guy everybody really likes. You got to like Jeffrey Pittman. You got to like Mike Montgomery, Josh Moten, Ian Foster. It didn't take long for you to really like these players, even if they were coming from different schools. So I think that's a positive because I think it'd be hard if you were struggled relationally with some of these players. Not relationally because we don't have a relationship necessarily, but more like a rooting relationship for them. Versus if you didn't have a rooting relationship for them, they're coming from other schools, you don't really know who in the world is even on your team. That's a really hard sell to go watch football.
Will Charles Huff do the same thing, obviously to a lesser degree because of the numbers, that he did when he left Marshall? Is he going to take every good player he can get his hands on that remains on this roster and try to convince them to leave?
I think there's a few that they could definitely get, and Blake Anderson alluded to that yesterday, saying some players are going to go with Huff. And he said that out loud in a press conference. So that would assume to me that they've already told him that they're probably going to Memphis with Huff. I think that could include an Ian Foster type player who came from Marshall as well. Jamon Tapp on the defensive line. You could see that. I think Chris Jones is the outlier here because he chose to stay even after the tough year of Will Hall. I think that's in his category, and he's such a Southern Miss guy too. So I think he's kind of an outlier there. So when you look at the players who could come back, those are at least players who made an impact this season. A player like Corey Myrick, right, who Huff recruited, got in the portal. That's a player that could be interesting too because he'd probably be playing for a starting job next season if he stayed. Really came out towards the end of the season. A player like him, if he were to go with Huff to Memphis, man, you're talking about a real tough rebuild because then you're talking about losing some of those secondary guys. The question I have about it, Bob and Kelly, is are those players, they're good enough to play here and at Marshall, are they good enough to play at what Huff wants Memphis to be? That's my only question, and so that would be something that I think that would have to be discussed between those players and Coach Huff.
And Huff would have to make that decision.
Exactly.
And when people talk about now through the transfer portal, you can turn a team around in 1 year. Well, Huff did it. Yes, but as Dima had pointed out, Huff did it by bringing 40 proven commodities with him.
From his previous team.
Correct, which Blake Anderson this is. his former team,
right,
at Southern Miss.
Right.
So the circumstances are a lot different.
And he has a way bigger NIL budget at Memphis that he can go get even better players than choosing from Southern Miss's players.
All right, Forest Health reminds you that keeping up with your favorite team is fun, but they don't want you to forget about the most important player, that's you. Get an annual physical, eat right, exercise, be sure your health is as good as it can be. Forest Health can help you with expert medical care right here at home, foresthealth.org.
Big news from Robinson Electric Supply in Laurel. We've moved. You'll now find us directly behind our old building, right by Sawmill Animal Hospital. We're still your trusted electrical distributor, carrying everything from conduit to tape. And don't forget our full line of Milwaukee tools. Whether you're a contractor or a DIY pro, stop by the new Robinson Electric Supply at 1222 West 6th Street and see what's lighting up Laurel. Robinson Electric Supply. New location, same trusted service.
The Eagle Hour. Southern Miss to the top.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 4th Street Bar and Grill sponsors the last segment of our program every day. Great place to take a break from weekend Christmas shopping. 4th Street Bar and Grill, they'll have some good food for you. You can catch a ball game, a lot of football on the TV over the weekend. I guarantee you all of it will be on the TVs at 4th Street Bar and Grill. All right, and a lot of people are going to be doing Christmas shopping. It came as no surprise to me, Mr. Bah Humbug, that you told us earlier you Christmas shop in October because you don't want to be around all the festivities.
I just don't like the crowds. There's a lot of road rage.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me.
This is the same guy that complained about the water in Hawaii.
Well, it was a little bit too cold for me.
I just cannot believe that when Kelly was in Hawaii, we were all watching on the news that there was a tsunami heading to
It wasn't a coincidence.
What was the story? You jumped in the water, then got the notification.
I had not been in the water the whole time I was in Hawaii, and the water just looked beautiful and inviting. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a dip, and I jumped in, and I kid you not, I've got witnesses that 10 minutes later, our boat captain says, they just put out a warning for a tidal wave. Anyway, so I jump in the water, and people in Alaska and Russia are going to drown, because of my fat butt jumping in the water in Hawaii.
Well, it was better than the time you fell asleep on the beach to find kids throwing water on you going, pull her back in, pull her back in.
Well, it was just a little uncomfortable when they kept trying to find my spout, moving me around. Pushing me toward the water, I said, "No,
your spout." I don't want to think about what your spout might be.
It's not what it looks like, kids. I'm not what I look like.
Oh boy! All right, let's move on.
Let's move right on. Always he'll have a show.
Women and men's basketball doubleheaders on Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah, it should be really fun. Jeez. Also, the bowl season starts tonight with Troy and Jacksonville State battling it out in Montgomery. So that should be a banger. It's the Veterans Bowl on ESPN tonight at 8 p.m. as bowl season kicks off. College football playoffs on the screens this weekend. But as of course, then Southern Miss is going to play in the New Orleans Bowl next week. But yeah, as Kelly just said, so we got men's and women's basketball. The men host Louisiana on Thursday, who's just been terrible.
Yeah,
Aren't they like 1-11?
They're just really
They're
bad.
awful. But Arkansas State has been good, and Southern Miss gets them on Saturday afternoon. So that'll be a great time to get your family out, go watch some basketball. But catch the women as well. They get South Alabama on Thursday at 5 o'clock, and then Louisiana as well on Saturday afternoon. So I think that's great when they do these double headers.
And I wonder, and that's the question that I would like to ask Jeremy McClain next time that he visits the program, is I think everybody, do you know of anybody that doesn't?
I don't think he's getting anywhere near spout.
No. I wouldn't expect him to. But the fact that you can obviously put the women's and men's games as double headers.
We've talked about it before, but wouldn't that make a lot of sense for the league to do that?
I would think so. Save on travel expenses.
So like Marshall and, for example, Marshall men and women's team travel here, and then they both play?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
A couple minutes left, and we don't obviously talk about the schools up north, but you said something interesting. So the big, coaching controversy up at Ole Miss. Ole Miss clearly gets the easiest draw in the opening round of the playoffs. It's unbelievable, really. There's talk that their quarterback is threatening not to play Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that he's intending on entering the transfer portal. He was asked by reporters saying, are you going to be playing at Ole Miss next year? Are you going to look at all your options? He's like, yeah, man, I got to look at all my options. What's best for me? And he said, who I trust more, which to me means he trusts Lane Kiffin more, of course, and who's at LSU. So the talk is if he enters the transfer portal, he might sit out the college football playoff game on Saturday afternoon.
So what does that say? What kind of kid, Kelly Sander, because you and I both coach kids throughout our life, what kind of kid would turn down the opportunity to play in what would be the biggest game of their lifetime?
Probably the biggest game in Mississippi history.
Maybe, yeah.
Again, it's apples and oranges because the kids that you and I coached.
It's unbelievable.
The kids that you and I coached were not raised in that time.
No.
I mean, you make a commitment, and like it or not, you finish it.
I think back to what Braylon Braxton said when we asked him, why did you decide to play in the bowl game? He said, listen, why would I not want to play football? Like, it's the reason I'm here is playing football. Why would I sit out games?
Good for him. He's been a really good kid here.
Yes.
He's been a really good kid here, I think.
And even like in the NFL, the Bengals are not in the playoff.
How'd that game go yesterday?
They didn't even score a point against the awful Ravens. But, I mean, the Bengals have got 4 games left, and
mercifully,
rather than pull Joe Burrow and let him sit out the rest of the year, they're going to play him.
He probably wants to play.
Speaking of the Bengals, I would say the Saints have actually turned the corner. Shuck has been pretty decent.
I agree.
I think they got something to build on for next season.
So a little bit of breathing room in New Orleans, a little bit of life.
And I think Shuck has given them some good stuff. And I think what surprised me about him is his legs. He has the ability to run the ball, which I don't think I really thought about.
And you normally don't want your head coach to learn on the job. But Kellen Moore, because he didn't have any experience, I think he's learning on the job.
They've gotten better.
I think they're a couple years away from being where they want to be, just because of how old that team is. But I think they have the start. The start is there.
To beat Tampa and then beat Carolina.
Yes,
there couldn't have been 2 better games for the Saints to win than those.
And I think Kellen Moore is a quick learner. It looks like.
And now they go into the offseason thinking we can compete in our own division.
Right.
They're not even going to get as good a pick as Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati will blow it.
Cincinnati. You always have to drag us down.
Chris Jones, stay at Southern Miss.
Y'all might get a punter in the first round.
Or Kelly's challenging Chris Jones, and we'll have more on that tomorrow. Everybody may want to show up for that.
Chris Jones needs to stay here.
We'll be back tomorrow. Southern Miss.
To the top.
Like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free.
Waiting. You do it at grocery stores, in traffic, and at the doctor's office. But what if you could skip the wait altogether? Introducing Trust Care Plus, a healthcare membership that makes feeling better even faster. Skip the waiting room and enjoy priority access at any Trust Care clinic. Sick kid? Text your care crew day or night. Get discounts on prescriptions and so much more. Wait no more. Feeling better just got a whole lot faster. Join Trust Care Plus today. Plans start from just $15 a month. Learn more at trustcarehealth.com/plus.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.